Thank you for downloading another episode of the Saturday Drop-In, and I've been making jokes a couple of weeks, being all by myself, but not this week because we've got the wonderful Karen in. Hello.
Hello.
We've had a really good show. It's been lovely to be presenting with you again, but we had a very special guest today.
It was very practical and we learned something. We had Peter from Lucky2BHere.
And Lucky2BHere is a charity that is promoting CPR training and defib training as well. They also sort of do their own sessions. You get to book in and sort out some CPR training wherever you are in the Highland area.
There are so many defibs around now. You know, when you walk up my high street in Erne, there are so many available, but it's the confidence, not having the confidence to be able to use these. The percentage of people that could be saved by these if people used them, just blew my mind.
10% of anyone going into cardiac arrest, it doesn't work.
That's at the moment,
Yeah.
10%. But if there was a defibrillator nearby and somebody trained, it would go up to 70%.
Exactly. So 70% of people can be saved if you had CPR training and defib training as well. If you want to message into the podcast, you have a specific email for that. It is socials@hhr.scot. So if you'd like to talk about what we've done at Lucky2BHere or anything throughout the show, we'd like to get your messages. Subscribe to the podcast as well, and then you get a notification every time we upload it. We've got Guest of the Year as well, and Beat Detective. Guest of the Year was really good as well. It was a good year to be around.
It was really challenging to pick 4 tunes.
I know, it really was. I think the 4 points of that year. I think you really hit it off. So let's listen to the interview from Lucky2BHere, and then you get the rest of the show after this. And it is 25 to 1 on your Saturday afternoon. You're here with Shannon and Karen on the Saturday Drop-In. And we have a special guest in. It's Peter from Lucky2BHere. Peter, thank you so much for coming in today. First up, could you tell us a little bit of how Lucky2BHere began and what Lucky2BHere is?
Yeah. It started in 2006. Ross Cowie, who was a famous shinty player across in Skye and a manager, he was in the shinty club one night in December, and he had a cardiac arrest, which means his heart stopped and he stopped breathing. And nobody in the shinty club did anything except phone 999. So the ambulance was very close. It was in the Portree Square, and came, and the ambulance personnel started doing CPR and used a defib. And to cut a long story short, he was transferred from Portree Shinty Club to Portree Hospital, to Broadford Hospital, to Raigmore Hospital, then to Aberdeen Royal Infirmary. And that took a period of time. In that time, he had 13 cardiac arrests. So every time his heart stopped, 13 times. Another time his heart was restarted with a defib. So when he arrived in the Aberdeen Royal Infirmary, the consultant there said, "You are lucky to be here." And that's how the charity got his name, Lucky2BHere. And when Ross discovered that Ross actually had a congenital heart complaint, and that his father and probably his auntie had died previously in the same kind of condition. So they had a little defib implanted into his chest in case it happened again. When Ross went back to Skye, he decided he would try to raise some money to get a defib into the shinty club in case it happened to somebody else. And like these things happen, he raised more money than required. So he got another one into the lifeboat station down at Portree. And he wanted people to learn to do CPR and how to use a defib. So he started up the charity Lucky2BHere in 2009. And local people in Portree, there was various doctors, nurses, ambulance personnel, bank managers, Coast Guard people, lots of different people got together, and they formed a training team, and they started doing training, as well as local communities raising money to get a defib. And then once the defib was got, the team would go out and train them. And it spread from Portree across the mainland to all Bay Area, to Inverness, to Dingwall, to now we've got training teams in these areas, plus Shetland, Western Isles, Glasgow, Canusie, Aviemore area. So there's a number of training teams as well. And since 2009, we've put out over 1,000 defibs in the area, and obviously trained lots and lots of people. And also, we reckon that at least 20 people, if not more, lives have been saved with Lucky2BHere defibs. So the charity, what main function is that people raise money, they give us money, we give them a defib, and then we go out and train them how to use a defib and how to do CPR as well. Using a defib is very simple, but you have to have the confidence to use it. And also, doing the CPR is good to be able to practice that as well. The local communities and some now companies now, but local communities raise money, especially communities where they're not in the middle of Inverness, or where they could be quite a distance away from an ambulance, could be 20 minutes away, or 20 or even further away from an ambulance. So having a defib can save lives.
Amazing. I was going to say how big has the charity become, but I can pretty much tell it's Highland wide. And me and Karen was speaking just before you came in about how it is important. We've both gone through CPR training through work, and how important it is definitely in certain age groups as well, and how important CPR can be.
Yeah, and for me, what I was talking about was the training, because I don't feel confident using a defibrillator. And about how we managed to get this training, because I didn't realise that there is free training available as well for these.
There is, yeah. I mean, it's Lucky2BHere. If we put a defib out, we'll do local training for the people that's got that defib. So local communities. So a local community will get a defib, and we'll go along to their village hall and do the training. And we're happy to go back once a year to do training in these areas.
Mm-hmm. And is there, how does the charity decide where to sort of place defibrillators? Like, is there a need to be like a certain distance from one place or another kind of thing? Or is it just wherever is most accessible in an area, for example?
There's a few things there actually, because there is a new research that's come out and seeing the areas throughout Scotland where most people that have cardiac arrest are, and where there's no defib. So there's that area. But up in the Highlands, it's because we're so sparsely populated in a lot of the areas, it is where the people live, because 80% of cardiac arrests happen in people's homes. So we have them near people's homes if in a small community. So if you've got a small village and you've got 15 houses, it would be ideal to have it in the middle of the street, whatever. So it's up to the areas that they come to us and say, we like a defib, and we do give them a bit of advice. The other thing is we need electricity as well, so it depends on from the local communities where the electricity is, because the defib itself doesn't need electricity, but the cabinet to keep it warm or cool in this hot weather we're having, then that needs electricity.
So it needs to be at a certain temperature for
the
defibs?
Just because it's electrical equipment.
Oh, right,
it's electrical equipment, so as if you put some outside, it doesn't, your car doesn't work very well when it's really cold. Well, a defib, because of the battery, it's the battery that cools, so it works with a battery. So the defib has to be kept at a certain level, and if it gets too hot, then it doesn't work either. So in the cabinet, there's a heater and a fan.
Right. Did I read as well that you go into secondary schools?
So Lucky2BHere have done and gone into secondary schools. We've done some primary schools as well, and it would be fantastic that we can actually get every child in the Highlands taught. But the problem is that it's actually they've got to get enough volunteers to go around the areas to teach them, because obviously most of their volunteers actually work, and therefore when they work, that's when the schools are on. So we struggle to get enough volunteers.
So you need more volunteers as well then?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get involved with Lucky2BHere, Peter?
I was actually across in Skye doing some first aid with a colleague of mine, and we were doing first aid at the Portree half marathon when Ross Curry, who was one of the organisers at the time, and who was the founder of Lucky2BHere, he started talking to us, and then heard our history, because myself and my colleague were both nurses, and he asked us if we'd like to be volunteers, and that's how it started.
That's really cool. That's really interesting. And is there a way that you can keep training accessible for users? You say that you go around to different community spaces. I'm assuming CPR is one of these things that it's hard. Is there a way that CPR is accessible sort of for everyone? Is it sort of, there's no limitations to how CPR works? Is that right? Or
no, but it's difficult. If you're disabled, it's actually more difficult to do, and especially to try and get down to the floor. Most patients that collapse will be on the floor, so if you're struggling to get down the floor to bend down to do CPR, that's a difficulty as well. But we do courses and that. We get people with disabilities, and people come along and they try. Or the other thing is, if they know how to do it, if they're in an area when something happens, they could then quickly tell somebody who doesn't know what to do to do it because they knew to do it. So they've not got the strength to do it, then they could do it. Same with children. Children sometimes struggle just because of lack of strength to do good CPR on an adult, for example, but they could use a defib and they could tell an adult how to do CPR.
Fascinating. Yeah, I just think it's amazing timing because it's something that I have been talking about for so many weeks, about having these defibrillators in the town that I live, but not having the confidence to use them. And so Peter has shared with me about free training, and I have been in touch with one of our community places to ask them about whether they would be happy to host some training or not.
Mm-hmm. And if people were wanting to look at using your services and getting some training involved, how is there sort of a number that you need to make sure training can go ahead? Is there a sort of a maximum minimum number? How do people get in touch and get involved?
So there is a Facebook page, Lucky to Be Here, and also a website, and info@lucky2BHere.com. And also we have a maximum 20 group is just so that we've got enough mannequins to do training, and also we've got enough trainers to supervise. Minimum is a bit slightly different because, you know, if you've got a small community, you've only got 20 people in the village, not everyone's going to come. So that sort of depends a little bit. Maximum sort of 20.
Amazing. And hopefully we're going to go into a quick break just now. Hopefully we're going to be getting a demonstration of how to use CPR. So we've got your Annie doll in, and we've got a practice defibrillator. So hopefully we'll be getting a demonstration on in about a minute or so. So make sure you guys are staying tuned for that. I'm hopefully going to, fingers crossed, be able to do a Facebook Live if anyone wants to see sort of a visual interpretation of how to use it. So yeah, we'll do that just after this little break.
So the first thing is if you see somebody collapse, you would make sure it's safe for you to approach, because, you know, if they collapse, is there a danger to you, like in the middle of the road, or is there in water, etc. So never put yourself at danger to save somebody. So if it is safe, then you approach and then you check the response. So basically you go down and take the shoulder and hold their head and just speak to them loudly and give them a gentle shake. Hello, hello, can you hear me? And that's see if they're responding. If there is no responding, you're going to try and shout for help to make sure you can get somebody to help you. So you shout where you are. If you're a big building, shout to what room you're in as well, because obviously some buildings have lots of different rooms. And then once you've done that, you're going to check their airway and their breathing. So because when you're unconscious or when you're not breathing, your tongue falls back and blocks your airway. So you need to clear airway. So you need to pull the head back and bring the chin up, and that then clears the airway. You get down and put your head down along just above the nose, and you're feeling for the air on your cheek, and you're listening for the air, and you're looking along their chest, and you're seeing the chest and the abdomen rising. You do that for 10 seconds. It seems a long time, but people breathe somewhere between 12 and 18 times a minute. So if you're only breathing 12 times a minute, that's 1 every 5 seconds, and that's why we wait 10 seconds. If they're not breathing and there's no signs of life, you're going to phone 999. Now, if I shouted for help and somebody came to help me, they're going to phone 999 and then get help. If nobody came, I'm going to phone 999 myself, because I'm not wanting to start CPR until I have got help. So once I've got help on the way, I'm going to do compressions. Now, where you do compression? On the chest, and you can do it on close to start with, and you put the heel of your hand, and it's just in the middle of the breastbone, right on the breastbone. The heel of your hand on top, and the other hand on top, and you want to have your shoulders directly over the chest, the breastbone, and you're going to press down 5 to 6 centimeters or 2 inches, and you're going to press 2 a second. Now this mannequin is clicking, that's telling me I'm doing it correct. Your patient wouldn't click.
It's quite a forceful push, isn't it?
Yeah. Big guys, you know.
And I think there's a lot of sort of music that you can do CPR to. So one of them, obviously, Bee Gees' Staying Alive, Nelly the Elephant as like a really simple one to learn, just to keep that timing throughout whilst you're waiting for help.
30, and then I'm going to now do 2 breaths. It's going to put the head back, I'm going to pinch the nose, I'm going to put my mouth around their mouth. Breathe in, see the chest rise. And back onto the chest. I'm going to keep going like that in 30 to 2. So 30 compressions, 2 breaths all the time. And then keep going. And this is very tiring. So if somebody come and help me after 2 minutes, they would swap over. But the other thing is when you phone 999, they were told you where the nearest defib is if the defib has been on the circuit, so the ambulance service know where they are, and then hopefully somebody could go and get the defib. So I've got a training defib here, so remember somebody's still doing CPR at the moment. Now we'll open the defib up and it'll start speaking to me.
I was really impressed with this because I thought you had to read something, but it actually speaks to you.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a training one. Okay, so just do what it says.
Firmly place the pad without
so peel it off and then
on the patient.
on there, and you're going on the right hand side, just below the collarbone, on bare skin.
And there's pictures on the pads as well, just to show you where they go.
Yeah. Okay, so that goes under the left armpit along there.
Do not touch
So
the
it's telling me
patient.
not to touch because it's
Analyzing
analysing the
rhythm.
patient at the moment, so I'm not to touch, otherwise it'll pick up
Shock
my rhythm.
advised.
So
Do not touch the patient.
now red light's going to flash.
Press red flashing button to deliver shock. Shock delivered.
Patient will give a little jump, and then you go straight back on the
Start
CPR,
CPR.
and the defib will give us a rhythm as well.
Press, 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 press,
I'm going to
press,
keep going like
press,
that for
press,
2
press,
minutes.
press,
I'm gonna
press,
stop it there.
press, press.
Okay, so we'll go like that for 2 minutes, and at the end of 2 minutes, the defib will say stop, stand clear, analysing the rhythm again, and then it will decide if it needs to give another shock, and they'll give up to as many shocks as required. If they say no shock required, then you do CPR. Now, if you give them 1 or 2 shocks or even more, and then it says no shock required, it may mean that the heart is, because it's in a ventricular fibrillation or ventricular tachycardia, that's the 2 rhythms that could be shocked, because if it's in other rhythms it won't be shocked. So these defibs will not save everybody, it's only if it's a sudden cardiac arrest due to VF or VT. So it will shock, and then if it says no shock, it means it's not in that rhythm. It just means that maybe the heart is now getting itself back into its own rhythm. It takes a wee while, and then once the patient shows signs of life, so you keep doing CPR until it shows the signs of life. So the patient might cough, they might splutter, they might talk to you, they might move, etc. And once you do that, then you go back to the beginning and you assess them again. Are they conscious? Are they talking to you? And are they breathing? And if they're breathing well, just observe them and keep the defib pads on. I would suggest that you shut the machine just to shut it up, because otherwise it will keep saying doing CPR. Or in some machines you press the off button. So some you press an on button, some press just open it up and it's switched on.
Mm-hmm. And do all defibrillators speak to you, or is it just your ones?
No, I'd say the majority of them speak to you, and also there is a written bit as well that you could read. So if you're struggling, because in some areas it's very noisy, so if you're struggling to hear the noise, then you have to read it as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there are different defibs, but they're all basically the same, and the pads go in the same place. I did say that they have to go into skin, so in the defib there's a kit. In that kit we've got scissors to cut the clothes off, because obviously we have to do it quite quickly, so there's no time to take buttons off or anything like that. So we cut all the clothes off. Unfortunately, ladies, your bra has to come off as well, because there's metal in there and that's not good for the defib. And also inside here is we've got a razor, because obviously if it's a very hairy gentleman, then you're going to have to shave that area so the pad sticks well onto the skin. And there's also gloves for you to wear. And there's also a little towel, because sometimes when you collapse you become very sweaty, so your skin, the pads won't stick very well, so you dry that skin as well. And you place the pads, one on the right hand side just below the collarbone on the right hand side, the other one on the left hand side under their armpit.
It seems to me that there's quite a lot of prep there. How long have you got from when somebody drops unconscious before it's really, how long have they got before you really need to have this thing?
We would like this immediately, okay, that's the best time. And the longer you are without a defib, then the less chance the patient is surviving. At the moment, less than 10% of people in Britain that has a cardiac arrest survive. Research has shown that if you could get a defib within 3 minutes, or used within 3 minutes of having a cardiac arrest, your survival rate goes up to about 70%.
Wow,
okay,
wow.
So that's why having a defib very close by is very handy.
And I think that calling for help as well, just so you can get CPR started while someone's going to get a defib, whether that's a community one or say you're in a hotel and you have an in-house defib to go and collect that.
Correct. Yeah, because the other thing is you have to think about, if I know my nearest defib is 500 yards away, I'm not going to leave my patient, because if I run 500 yards, then get the defib and run 500 back, then that patient's been out without CPR for a long period of time. So we need to get somebody else to go and do that for me. If it's just round the corner, yeah, I'll go and get the defib as well if I'm on my own. But you have to think about that. But yeah, doing CPR is really important, because by doing CPR, you're pushing the blood round the body and then making sure that the blood is going to the brain and keeping the brain alive.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for giving us that demonstration. That's amazing. And it's really nice, I think, to sort of visually see how it would work. Obviously, we would like to think that CPR isn't something that we learn but wouldn't need to use, but it is. Unfortunately, it is.
Unfortunately, a lot of the families that have had to go through tragedies are the ones who are fundraising for these things, because they're the ones that recognise, particularly young people.
But we've just spent 10 minutes learning a new skill that can potentially save someone's life in the future.
And one thing about the real defibs is that if you go past a cabinet, and there's different cabinets, some do have a lock on them, so you have to phone the ambulance service and they say your nearest defib is, and they'll tell you a code to get out of. Lucky2BHere ones don't have codes. We feel that access is important, so they are open up. So you just open the cabinet up without a code. And if you're passing and you just see our ones, they have a green light, so if the green light's on it, or a green ball, it's not a green light, it's a green ball, and if that is on, it means it's working. Sometimes there'll be a red light, and that means that it's not quite working, but it may still work. It might just mean your pads are out of date by a few weeks, and they'll still work. So even if it's red, please use it.
And if you go past one that's red, should you be contacting someone to tell them it's
well,
red?
some of the defibs on the back will say who looks after it, or the cabinet sometimes have a look after it. So if you do see that, yes, contact them. If you see they've got a name on it, yes.
Because there is somebody responsible for each of the defibs checking up on it, isn't there?
Should be, and that's sometimes not always the case, because in the past maybe had been, and that person was very keen and did it, and then they either moved away or whatever's happened, and they've not passed that on, so somebody doesn't always look after it. There's what I think called the circuit, and that's run by the Scottish Ambulance Service and charities, and they have a list of, not all defibs, but a lot of defibs if they're registered with the circuit, and they have a person who looks after it, so they email the person every few months, say when was the last time you checked it, and is it up to date, etc. So it's checked. But the ambulance service will, they'll tell you where your nearest defib is.
It's amazing, because it's only in the last sort of 5 years that we've seen these pop up everywhere, isn't it?
It's our charity's been on the go since 2009, so we've been putting them out since then, but they're getting more and more. And yes, I mean, if you go down that Inverness High Street or like that, Inverness Town Centre have got 5 round in yellow boxes and things like that. So there's.
I think for me the first one I saw was at Bloch Town at the community hall there.
That's a Lucky2BHere one.
Yes. Because it was volunteers that trained up.
That's right. Yeah.
But we were saying it would be really good to see the kids in schools.
Definitely.
It would be, but it's. And there is organisations like British Heart Foundations and they have various systems that the teachers could teach the school kids, because you don't always need a little land. There's actually, and there is British Heart Foundation have Revive R, and they have you could videos that they could use, and also various just a school bag, and you actually could do the CPR with your phone. And there's things like the UK Resuscitation Council, they have the Lifesaver app, so anybody could download the Lifesaver app, and that gives you various scenarios of scenarios that people are needing resuscitation, etc. And you do CPR using your phone, and you ask the question, they'll ask you a question and you give the answer of what you think should happen next.
Amazing. So one last thing, Peter, before we finish for today, if there's one thing that you want to take out about Lucky2BHere, about learning about CPR, say there was someone that approached you and was just like, I'd like to learn this, but I would be worried that I would just forget the moment that someone needs me. What would you say to them?
I would say go for your training, because you'll find that once you've done your training, and even I say there's lots of online things you can train as well. So once you've done your training, you actually remember a lot. And the most important thing is phone 999, and 999 will actually then talk you through your CPR. If you put your phone on loudspeaker, they'll actually tell you how to do your CPR as you're going along. So you could never do any harm, and I always have a go. because you may save somebody's life.
And in a way, you're not alone, even if you are calling 999 at that point. Exactly. Yeah. Peter, thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you for the demonstration as well. We'd like to have you back at some point as well. Also, thank you for the cakes. Very appreciated for you. And that was the Logical Song Supertramp there. Karen, you were saying that, was it your sister that was upset that you bought the album?
Yes, Brenda, my sister Brenda, because she was such a huge influence on the music that I enjoyed, and she was a bit older than me, so she brought lots of albums. I was still at school, so we were down Holdy in Scarborough, and I saw this album and I thought, I'm going to buy this album. But I did, unbeknown to me, she had also planned to buy the album.
Oh,
so
no.
She wasn't that impressed because she had such a fantastic record.
But you got to experience the album together, which I think is the most important part, even though there might be a grudge between it.
Not anymore. Absolutely not anymore. She'd already bought the Logical Song as a single anyway.
Oh, there you go then. All sorted. Yeah. So what happened in this year, Karen? Because you guessed the year up for me, so...
Yeah, so in this year, in the UK, Margaret Thatcher became the first female Prime Minister.
Okay.
The UK top grossing movie was Superman. Mother Teresa was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. A song with an animated video about rabbits won the best-selling single in the UK, was the best-selling single. In the USA, it was the Knacks My Sharona, which my sister Brenda also bought as a single. A new Ford Escort would cost you about £1,700. The Ford Cortina was the best-selling car in the UK, and it was the very first year to get a Happy Meal, McDonald's, in the UK. And in the USA, sorry.
Amazing. That's very interesting, because, looking at how much it would cost, obviously, £1,700 is sort of different money, inflation, all that fun stuff. But imagine getting a car for £1,700 these days.
A brand new Ford Escort. I had real problems choosing what music to play, because from this year, you could have a whole 2-hour show just based on music from this year. There was so much good music.
Yeah.
So I tried to use a variety of songs from that year. It certainly was part of the disco era.
Okay, very nice.
The next song is very much part of the disco era.
It is very much so. Let's get that on just now. This is Donna Summer and Barbara Streisand with No More Tears. Enough is enough. This is Guess the Year on the Saturday Drop-In. Music to Watch Girls by Andy Williams. That's a really good song. I quite enjoyed that.
I do like Andy Williams.
Really good music. And speaking of music and local, another thing that we didn't mention when Lucky to Be Here was here, funnily enough, is that they're going to be at Belladrum. They've got one of the charity tents. So if you're heading to Belladrum, if you've got your tickets, go and say hello. Say Hospital Radio, say hi.
And they'll show you how to use the defibrillator.
Exactly.
Now I can't see it. Now we can't see it. Now that we're thinking about
defibrillator.
That's the thing.
There we go. We tried. Also, who else is going to be there? Hospital Radio is going to be here. We're going to be running around doing some press stuff. We're probably going to get some interviews done, and we'll definitely run the charity sort of sector for a bit. So if you see us in our blue shirts, come say hi. Producer Bill's going to be there getting the artists. Yourself, you're going to be there doing the charities and sort of saying hello to them.
And also doing the artists, I think, with Bill a bit.
Exactly,
and definitely on the Thursday. Don't know about the other days, but we'll soon find out.
Exactly.
And it'll be Terry and Ian that'll be there with the charities on Friday.
Yeah, possibly me and Tom are going to be there. That's kind of a TBC sort of situation. The drop-in may not, but that's also fine. We'll see what's going on with that. But there's been a good lineup this year, and people that we're all kind of excited. I'm really excited to see Peter Capaldi.
Yeah,
I'm very excited for that, because I saw him at Glastonbury and I was like, yes, I want to do that. And I'm questioning buying a Hospital Radio mug just to see if I can get it to him, even if it is for your daughter. No offense, Karen.
And our own Dougie Burns is going to be there on the Thursday night playing with his Cadillacs. He's on the Tuesday night at 7 p.m.
Exactly.
Live music.
And someone that we spoke to at Woodstock's Festival, The Chosen Lonely. So they were a part of the BBC Alba I was going to say raffle, but they were going to go up to open the Hot House stage. They unfortunately lost it, but they are actually going to be at one of the stages. I think it's in the middle of the day or something like that. And
Ross Smith usually does
he does Ready Steady Go Go. Yeah, I think he's going as well, pretty much.
He will probably be there, but I would imagine he'll be doing the Ready Steady Go.
Jared Rowan as well, also known as Littlest Chicken. I've sort of featured them last week because they've started doing clubland music, but in Kaylee style, which is amazing.
We have our trad band. So On the Thursday, there's Torridon. On the Friday, there's Skippinish. And on the Saturday, Tideline. So if you're into your trad, there's lots of other trad bands there, like Tartan Paint and things like that.
Exactly.
But those are the main headliner ones.
But yeah, obviously, if you're out and about, if you're heading to Belladrum, please come say hi. As I said, you'll see us. We've got our lanyards on. We'll be running around with microphones, so come and say hi. And listen to hospital radio whilst you're there as well. If you're staying in like the tents or something like that, just pop on hospital radio. We're live. All the time.
Of old friends of the show going to be there. Dylan James Turney and his band. Lorette's will be there.
Amazing.
Yeah,
good stuff. So fingers crossed, we're all going to be sort of running around doing something or other during the weekend. So again, pop in, say hi to Lucky2BHere and the rest of the charities, because they do amazing work. I think the charity for Belladrum is Halo, which is a Scottish charity. I think it's something to do with sickness in children as well. So definitely have a wee look for that. I'll definitely be checking out the food vans. Can't go wrong with the food vans.
The strawberries.
Yes, the strawberry ladies. They are my favourite people.
I say thank you to Peter for the cakes. I've already had some strawberries off the top.
Yeah, we had a couple of strawberry tarts from Peter. He brought in a couple of cakes, so we really appreciate that. We have got a range.
Imagine that, the week that Tom's not here.
And he got cakes. It's a shame, isn't it? What a shame. Oh dear. You know what? He shouldn't have just flown home on a Saturday.
Yeah, but you know what? If you leaving holiday, what can you expect?
Exactly. We've got Erasure on just now and a little bit of Avril Lavigne to get you through your Saturday drop-in. We've had some interesting news stories that were happening in this year. Margaret Thatcher became the first female Prime Minister of this year. Top grossing movie in the UK was Superman. Mother Teresa was awarded a Nobel Peace Prize. Your new Ford Escort would have cost you £1,700, as if that was ever going to happen in this day and age. And the Ford Cortina was the best-selling car in the UK of this year as well. So, Karen, with all of that, what was the year?
The year was 1979.
Okay. And if you got it right at home, well done. As I said, you don't win a prize, you just get the success of getting it right, essentially.
And Shannon, actually, you got it right this week.
I did get it right. It was, it's good to know. Sometimes, Tom really pulls the plug when it comes down to guess the year, and I'm usually 1 or 2 years out as well. But I wanted to bring up another sort of a funny news story that happened in Aviemore of this year. There was a ski tourist reportedly opened a farm gate by mistake, allowing a Highland cow to wander into Aviemore town centre. Strolled into a pub where it was served a pint of ale by a amused staff member before being escorted out by the local police. Headline tabloids include "Moved by the Spirits" and "Cow's Night Out Goes Utterly Wrong."
We have had that in Nairn, where the Highland cows at the Newton have escaped.
There
was one.
I had to put a cow back into a farm once when I was driving the back roads to Inverness once, and I was
this is the main road coming up the
A96. This is the main road.
Yeah,
oh no!
The other one was in the park across from our house in Beach Avenue. Yep, and I was like, when people were going visit, I thought, how much have they had to drink? It was a Sunday night.
Imagine what's happening on a Sunday night there as well. So your last song from 1979 will be Blondie, Heart of Glass. Up next, we have Peter from Lucky2BHere joining us on the Saturday drop-in, talking about the importance of knowing how to do resuscitation and CPR. But first off, let's get Blondie on. Billy Idol, Hot in the City. They're on Saturday, dropping you in with Shannon and Karen. I still can't get over that interview. That was amazing.
He was
What an amazing guy. Yeah, and as you said, you've basically organised, or starting to organise your own group to get people in.
Because it's something we've talked about for so long at home, is that, but how confident would you feel using the defibrillator? Mm-hmm. And it's not an issue. They'll go along and train people. If people organise... and a lot of the places that would be hosting the event are places with one of these Lucky2BHere defibrillators.
Exactly, and definitely say, in the Highlands when you call an ambulance, it might be a longer waiting time for that ambulance, but if you have
they know where the
training in place. Exactly, yeah.
Can I just say I'm really impressed that I can pronounce defibrillator, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, which is why I keep saying it all the time.
Well, you're doing very well. But it is gone, or it's come up to 1:20. The show's almost done, so we need to get Beat Detective on the go. So this is the game where we secretly hide the last song of the show into a couple of clues. They're available on Facebook and Instagram, so it's at Highland Hospital Radio if you want to have a look. But we shall tell you what those clues are. The song is Is it 3 words? I don't think it is. I think it's actually 2 words.
I think it's 2 words.
Yeah, it's 2 words. I see the world through them, yet they are not mine. Who are they? An artist is 2 words as well. Think uncomplicated and a fiery shade. I think they're good clues.
Yeah,
Somewhat good clues.
I think they're. I think I'd probably find easier the band.
Yeah, I would say concentrate on the band and then get one of the songs. Yeah. So I'll quickly go through that again for you. So your song is 2, even though on the socials it says 3. Apologies in advance. I see the world through them, yet they are not mine. What are they? An artist is 2 words as well. Think uncomplicated and fiery shades. So if you want to pop in your answer, it's social media at Highland Hospital Radio on Facebook and Instagram. Comment your answer below, or you can email us. It is studio@hhr.scot as well. Or if you've just tuned in and you've gone, oh my God, I've missed the interview with Lucky2BHere. I've missed out what's happening in the world with Karen and Shannon and Guess the Year. We have a podcast that gets uploaded at some point. It was quite late last week, I'll be honest with you. So it is the Saturday Drop-In podcast. Make sure you subscribe to that, and then you keep in touch with all the interviews, all the banter, all the fun. There's a couple of exclusive contents on there as well if you want to listen in as well. We did a special a few weeks ago at Woodstock Festival, which was really fun.
I really enjoyed listening to that, particularly when you were going off and getting your coffee and things like that.
Oh, of course. Wait, you know it's me and Tom.
Was it
If there's a coffee
pod that was
van.
there?
No, it was Nabad. And Nabad is pretty good. Hence why they're called Nabad, you know. But the coffee pod was at the wedding that you went to the other week, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had a lovely coffee.
Yeah. Shout out to all those trailers that are serving coffee. We do appreciate it when we do our gigs out on outside broadcasts and stuff. So yeah, pop in your answer for Beat Detective studio@hhr.scot. Get a shout out. We won't tell you the answer until the end of the show, unfortunately. So we have got some Mickey Bubbles on the way. It's July. He's starting to defrost, isn't he? So
after that, which is one I have to sing along to, the Andy Williams one.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited for that one. More on what's happening just about us, basically. But yeah, Michael Bublé is just on the way. It is Coming Home Baby. And that is your Saturday dropping you in with Shannon and Karen. So was it a couple of weeks ago now? 2 weeks ago. You headed off to Tesco's, not just for your usual shop, but you were helping promote Highland Hospital Radio to the customers.
We were there for 4 hours. I was on with Terry, so Terry and I were the first shift. And the ladies at customer services were so helpful.
Yeah.
Went and got us a table, a couple of chairs. And yeah, we just were giving out leaflets. We also had a bucket, and we got some money as well.
Yeah, so thank you for everyone who decided to donate. We had Philip on the line as I was doing the Saturday drop-in, and it was quite funny because I asked him about his meal deal of choice, but he heard it as his musical choice. So yeah, that was funny. I might pop a clip up on that later on.
Terry is so good. He's such a good speaker, and he was chatting to people who were doing the shop, and it was nice just to share information about Highland Hospital Radio with people who didn't know about us. And then we also met some people in our hour who were just going in there before they were coming over to the hospital, because of course it's really the nearest supermarket
of course,
to the
because we
hospital.
were just at the Tesco Inches, so it's just over the road from us. So it's good to know that they're doing a quick shop before popping here. So yeah, we're hoping to do sort of a lot more like that. I was saying to Tom, we should get some bag packing people involved next time if we were to do another sort of shop thing, because I am obsessed with packing things in the right way. Like, I like going to Tesco's or other supermarkets are available by myself, so I know that everything's packed in the right place. You've got your frozen with your colds, and you know, you've got your jars with your tins, and eggs on top, always eggs on top.
I know some people really disagree with people doing their own, like going around picking their own shopping and putting it in it, but I quite like that, because then I can put them, rather than feeling pressurised that someone's coming behind me and wanting to use the till, and making sure that everything's in the right bag. That way I can make sure everything is in the right bag as I go down, because I do my mum's shopping as well, so it's making sure that she's got her fridge stuff, her frozen stuff, and her normal stuff, and I've got my fridge stuff, my frozen stuff, and my normal stuff. Plus you don't put your smellies with your
of course, you've got bags for certain things, which I think is important. But yeah, I'm very much a pro self-scanner person, because at university I worked at the shop in university, and it was like, you know, a dream. It was great. I loved it, and I like kind of doing the self-scanning, so I'm like, I'm back at doing the union shop kind of stuff. So great. And again, great at backpack. Do you know the amount of compliments I got at work when I was backpacking bags. Because
that's the thing. Some people don't like people backpacking their bags in case they don't do it right.
Exactly. You've got the Shannon seal of approval if we do go back to a supermarket and do that. So hopefully we'll be doing a few more events like that. And again, if you find us at any sort of thing, we've got pretty obvious like logo that says Highland Hospital Radio. Come and say hi, and get involved whichever way you can. If you can, donate. If not, we send out flyers.
Yeah,
we give you a free flyer.
Yeah, there was lots of people who weren't really aware of us, which is why we do these things as well, just to raise awareness.
Yeah, and of course we want to sort of spread out. We're not just in Inverness, we are Highland Hospital Radio. We broadcast to the Highland NHS area, which is, I think it's 15 hospitals? Yes.
I couldn't put a number on it.
I couldn't put a number to it either. So yeah, if you are sort of going out and about from Inverness and again staying in that Highland area, take us with you because we are online. It's hhr.scot.
We were talking about some of the places we were last year. Last year we were in Dingle for the Archie's Day, the football match.
Yeah.
And then we were up at Wildwoods this year and last year, which is in the Black Isle.
And hopefully we'll be able to do a bit more further out with the more team that we have.
Yeah, because we have some new equipment.
We do, which is so exciting. It's currently sitting next to the vinyls just now, and I haven't had a peek at it because I've tried to behave, and I know Ali would have a go at me if I started having a look. But yeah, we've been able, because of the YPI grants that we got, we've been able to purchase an outside broadcasting kit, like a proper one, so we're not having to sort of like borrow other people's laptops and Wi-Fi and stuff like that. And we have a gazebo, so we are fully protected. And Tom's gazebo broke annoyingly, typically a few weeks ago, before Woodstock as well. So we're just like, well, we need a gazebo now. So proper branded one sort of put us in the place. So hopefully
people know who we are.
Yeah, and if anyone out there needs a PA system at any point, I'm sure we can find some time to get out and get that sorted for you as well. Have you figured out Beat Detective?
Well, I kind of knew the answer.
You did kind of knew the answer.
So I don't want to pretend that I got it right.
Oh, no, that's fine. You know what? Honesty is the most important thing, to be fair. So your Beat Detective clues were song, 2 words. I see the world through them, yet they are not mine. What are they? And your artist is 2 words as well. So think uncomplicated and a fiery shade. So when we're talking about sort of fiery shades, we're talking like a warm color, reds, and then uncomplicated. How would you sort of explain that? Another word for uncomplicated?
I think when you know it's 2 words and you know the second one's red, then you kind of get it.
Break it down. Red. It will be simply red. And your song is Your Eyes. So we'll be leaving you with this for the Saturday drop-in. As I said, we've got Highland Open Mic up next at 2, but do not go anywhere because Hospital Radio is on 24/7 for you guys. I'll be back next week. Karen, it's been lovely to have you in.
It's been really nice.
It's been nice just sort of sitting and having another show with you. So Tom will be returning next week. Hopefully he's got the coffee order already sorted out. And we'll see you for another Saturday drop-in next week. And Karen, I will see you hopefully very soon. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Saturday Drop-In. What an amazing show we had. It was just lovely to actually just present it with you again, Karen.
Yeah, it was really
been a
nice
while.
to be here.
It's been a long time since we presented, and as we said, we'll be doing bits and bobs sort of throughout the year, hopefully. We're turning 55 this year at Hospital Radio, so hopefully we'll be doing.
We're trying to get out and about more with our new equipment.
We do. So thank you to the schools that who got us the grant from the YPI scheme, as we like to say. Again, if you want to message in to the podcast, it is socials@hhr.scot, or like and subscribe, and then you get notified every time we pop up on your podcast and stuff. So Karen, I will see you very soon.
Yeah, we absolutely must.
Yes, we need to. We need to sort out either just a cheeky coffee date or something.
Coffee, yeah. I do like a coffee date.
Can't go wrong with a coffee date. Tom will be back next week with myself. Guest is TDC just now, but hopefully we'll get something sorted for then. So until next week, we'll see you then.
Bye.